Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. This is part 2 of my Coffin card set project that we are working on. This is the project here. I went ahead and I decided to do these videos in like 10 to 15 minute increments. Just so, you know, if you have to stop it, I hate stopping in the middle of a video and then, you know, your kids always change the video, blah, blah, blah. You got to find where you were. So we're going to try that. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we'll see. So we've already got our chip cereal box cut, our 2 pieces at 1.5 inches, and then our 2 pieces at 1 inch. We have our 5 hinges, which are 1 inch by 12 inches or 1 inch by 11 inches, scored at 1/2. That's all we had done. I didn't prep a lot for this because I want you guys to be able to see this in real time so you have an actual realistic way of how this is going to be. So what we're going to do is go ahead and trace our top and bottom on our cereal box. So you need 1 top and 1 bottom. And this is just a Google free print that I to be honest, I traced it right off my screen because I have a new computer and I didn't set up my printers yet. So, yeah. And this is the bottom. We're going to cover it up, so I just wrote top on there. Even though you'll know your top is bigger. But, you know, whatever makes life easy. So we're just going to go ahead and trace this bottom here. And all I did was when I traced this piece, I just set it down and took a ruler and, whoa. Okay, that's my son in the next room. I don't know what he's doing. But anyway, I just traced approximately 1/8 of an inch. It's not exact. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so let me not lose those. We're just going to cut it out. Now, if you have one of the cutting machines, a Cricut or a Cameo, I'm sure you can find a printable if you don't want to hand cut. I'm just, for the video's sake, I'm just going to act like I don't have a cutting machine and I'm just going to hand cut. So, because all I did was after I traced these, I did the, used the trace function on my Cameo and traced it, and then the machine did all the cutting for me. But it's really not too bad. You'll see. Okay, so that's what you need. We're going to take our black cardstock. Again, this is the artisan cardstock from Tammy's store. And so for the top, I'm going to do just one. I used black on the inside, so I'm going to use black again. And the bottom, I use the pattern paper on the inside, so we'll do that. This is what I'm going to do for mine. Where's my... I'm using the art glitter glue here. Okay, let's just go ahead. To get it even, since this is going to be the inside, I'm just going to do a shortcut. If you find it easier to do it the other way, and I'll tell you what the other way is, you can do it the other way, but for me this is easiest. I just glue it and set it down. That's all. Take my little Walmart spatula thing, 88 cents. Smash this out. This was in the by the cooking aisle where all the little gadgets are. Like, you can find the tongs and measuring cups and that kind of stuff, the knives. And I'm just going to cut this out. So the other way is to trace the black cardstock and then glue it on top, but for me this is much faster if I'm hand cutting. Now, when I used my Cameo, it was, you know, obviously it did all the cutting and then I glued the other way. There you go, perfect match. Clean up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so the bottom, you want to do the same thing, but you want to use the whatever pattern paper you are going to use. And I think I am going to stick with the bats because a coffin is a vampire and a vampire is bats, right? So that is this sheet called Haunted House. So we're going to go ahead and take the bottom. This one is kind of directional, and I am going to be very picky as to I want to utilize this paper as much as I can. So the other one on the black, I just kind of stuck it anywhere, but this I'm going to use the very edge, so I can use more paper. So I'm going to flip this over. I know I want this edge here because I like the ombre. It's darker in this corner. So flip it over and same thing, glue this all up. Make sure you're paying close attention to the edges. That's what I like about the art glitter glue. You can use the tip and get those edges, or I mean, it already has a nice tip on it, but you can use that middle tip. Really get in there. So I'm going to go ahead and get that on there. Okay. Let me get my towel. Sorry, I don't like glued up hands. Okay. Give this a good varnish. Okay, it looks like we're going to go over our 10-minute mark, but y'all, it'll be okay. So I'm just going to cut this out. I'm not leaving any room between the cereal box and paper. I'm going right up to the edge. Okay. So that's the inside. And make sure whichever pattern you want on top, because it's going to be lying down like this. That's why I had to flip this paper over. Okay. Now, the only other thing that I'm going to do, because I think I want the bottom to be black, but you don't want to glue it down, you have to trace this part. And you'll see what I mean. Okay, so I have to trace it. And then I may want to do the top too, so while I have everything out, I'm just going to go ahead and trace it. I haven't decided yet. Okay. And you're going to cover these up, or you can flip it over, so I'm just going to name them top and bottom. And again, just a quick fussy cut. Okay. Yeah, my son said he was in there taking a shower, but it sounds like he is taking down the whole house, so I don't know what's going on in there. But my craft room and his bedroom share a bathroom, so yeah. Okay. So these scraps in the bin. So what I'm going to do is just stick these two pieces. I clip everything to these little clips, and then I have one of those IKEA or Michael's or Sam's Club, wherever you got those little carts. I have one over to the side that has magnets on it, and I use a metal clip and I just magnetize it to the side, so that way I don't lose my items around my desk. You know, if I'm not using it, I put it over there so I know what's going on. If you don't have a metal cart, you can always just use a command strip on the side of your desk and get a little basket or something that you can put all your stuff in, so you're not scrambling like, oh, where did I put this, where did I put that. That's just what I do because I lose everything everywhere. Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and manipulate our cereal box. So we need our hinges, and what we're going to do is go ahead and peel off the Scor-Tape on one side. If you're not comfortable doing it all in one shot, you can peel a little piece, add it, keep peeling, but I find for me, I'm better just not overthinking it and just laying it down. This little hook thing came with my Cameo too, but you can get those at, you know, Lowe's and those kind of stores too. So I'm just going to stick this in. You want to bring it up to the score line, but not over. So just kind of get it in there and lay it down. Okay. You're going to do that with all 4 of your pieces. It doesn't matter if it's on one side or the other of your chipboard or cereal box, actually. Just lay it down. And if you have like overhang, just cut it off. And then our last 2 pieces, we have this one here. And actually, if you use the printed side, it gives you an extra little wiggle room for the Scor-Tape, because as long as you don't press it down, you can peel it back up easily because it has that waxy gloss on it. So there's that. And one more. What I meant by if you wanted to peel a little piece off at a time, I'll show you with this one, where you just peel off a little bit. Let me see, this might be hard for me to do, but because for me here, I just kind of overthink it. So you see how I just attach that top? It still has the backing, the tail, everything right there. And then you just kind of pull it and attach while you're pulling. So that makes you more comfortable. You can do that, but it made me off a little bit, but that's okay. So I guess this was the family size and the other one was the regular size. The family size boxes are bigger. Okay, so we have all 4 pieces taken care of. Now this part that we're doing is the inside. The 1-inch strip is this part here, and the 1.5 is the bottom of the box. So this extra black right here is the hinge, which I like to show it. I think it's super cute. When you make your strip here, you don't have to. And I'm not bothered by these raw edges on the top. On my other project, I inked it, but on this, I wasn't bothered. So you can put another hinge on top of here if you want. It's just a lot more work. So, or you can just ink it and it'll do the same thing. But for this part, you can either cover your inside of your hinge now, or you can do it after you assemble your box. For me, I did it after I assembled the box. It was a little bit of a pain, so I'm going to try it right now before I assemble the box and see how that works out. So we need our 2 pieces that are a 1/2 inch, 1.5 inch, excuse me, and our paper. So for these ones, I did want full coverage, so I'm just going to do these strips, which are 1.5 inch by 12. So, you know what, let me cut off this little thing here. Okay, there we go. Actually, no, I'm just going to stay right here. So 1.5 and 1.5. Okay. You may or may not need all of it, but yeah, I just cut them both. Oh, my son's giving the dogs a bath. That's what all that commotion was about. Okay, problem solved. Anyway, so here you can decide to use your Scor-Tape or your glitter glue. I'm just going to use my glitter glue to take the, see where the hinges, this is going to be the outside of your box. You need the inside. So I'm just going to glue and make sure I get the edges really well. And then guys, this is my first tutorial on Country Craft Creation, so if I'm going too fast, let me know, or too slow. I just want to make sure that even someone who this is their very first time picking up a piece of pattern paper can follow along. So for those of you who are advanced, hey, feel free to fast forward. It will not offend me because I won't know. So for me, I don't really mind the direction of the bats. Just coincidentally, I cut it so it's going to work out. But if you are using directional paper, I suggest you figure out this is going to be the inside strip of your box. So just be mindful of that. Okay. And then the same thing for this one. We are going to go ahead and glue that down. The outside of the box is easier to do when it's put together. So we're not going to even worry about the other side of this until we're complete. Okay. Split it all. And we'll go ahead and just match this up. At this point, you guys can ink your edges if you want. To get rid of that raw chipboard, for me, it's okay. But if you guys are doing it, I will wait, because I will wait. I'll do it with you. How about that? So I'm just inking up with Tim Holtz Black Soot. Got that top raw chipboard. If you want to ink your paper too, I mean, it only takes about a minute, so why not? It's up to you. Super quick. And that also gives the glue some time to dry. And this little piece of paper here, I didn't cut exactly on the line, so it had a little bit of white, so we'll just cover that up. Inking both sides just in case I don't have to come back to it. Okay, that's it. Lob this off. Okay. This back on my side cart so I don't lose anything. Scissors away. So now you want to get your scissors that you can cut glue with. Or, you know, any scissors. I don't like to use my Fisker scissors when I'm cutting through Scor-Tape because they get all yuck and gunked up. And those ones are super sharp to clean off. But this part here, it is going to be a lot easier if you go ahead and take the full stripping off. And what we're going to do is go ahead and cut triangles in here. So you're just going to start at the edge and literally cut triangles. So mine are about 1/4 of an inch. You can leave the Scor-Tape backing paper on, but it's annoying trying to take off all these little tiny triangles. So I just take it off first and then go through like so. They don't have to be perfect triangles, and just coincidentally mine are coming out perfect triangles. You do not want to cut on that score line at all. You need that score line. So I'm just cutting up to where I stopped the tape, which is about 1/8 of a centimeter from the score line. 1/8 of a centimeter, 1/8 of an inch. See the score line, and then the tape. See if I can get a good one. Come on. But the score line is right there, and then the tape is underneath it. Oh, that's a good angle. So that's just where I'm stopping it. I'm pretty impressed with my triangles, because when I did this just for the prototype, they were not triangles. They were like square things. But it doesn't have to be perfect because no one's going to see it. It's just easier. You can leave it whole if you want to, but it's easier to manipulate it when it is squares. So, or squares, triangles. So we're just going to go ahead and do both. And what I meant by if you leave the Scor-Tape on, I'm only going to do one because this is super annoying for me anyway. You now have to go through and pick off each individual triangle instead of if you just do it like this, it's picked. See? And you can always put the piece of tape back, or the backing back on, but it's still just one solid piece. It's easier. So I usually do that just so I don't get unwanted little pieces of paper on my backing, on my Scor-Tape. So let's just go ahead and cut these. Again, you can fast forward this part, but I'm trying to do this in real time because that was one of the feedback I got last time, is people want to see the real time, especially if you're a beginner. So you guys let me know if you want to see real time, if you want me to fast forward it, whatever. See, like that one's not like a triangle, it's just a pyramid type. I don't know. And almost done here. Okay. All right, and just pull these little pieces out. And there's no formula or rhyme or reason to it, just the best triangle as you can get it. Okay, so now we need to get our bottom coffin. And what we are going to do is manipulate this page, this 1.5 inch thing across it. So you can measure and cut each individual piece. I don't have time for that. I honestly don't. So we're just going to go ahead and manipulate the heck out of this paper. So I'm not too bothered by seams. So I'm just going to start wherever. For me, it's easier to start along this edge here and come around and back up. You can start on the bottom so that way your seam starts and stop at the bottom, or however you want to do it. But all you're going to do is stand this up so that way it's like an L shape. And what we're going to do is go ahead and place that strip up against the bottom of the coffin. So you're not really placing it on top. You can, but it will just make it bigger. There's not a wrong way to do it, so don't freak out. If you put yours on top of the bottom piece, that's fine. I like mine right up next to it. It's just easier for me that way. It may be easier for you the other way, but Just put it so on top or right up against it. You see how the pieces just go right on the back. That's all I did. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead. This is why you need your pliable cereal box. So I'm trying to get you guys to be able to see this. All I'm doing is pushing this paper. I'm just manipulating it right up against that bottom, and I'm just going to varnish it. Okay, that's it. It looks rounded, but we're going to fix that in just a second. Again, for me, when I get to the section like right here, I just lift this little piece up just a little bit. See? So I can continue manipulating it around. So go ahead and manipulate. It does not matter what the underneath looks like because we're going to cover that. And set it down. And varnish that. And get this last little piece. Pick it up from the bottom. Turn it around. And stick it. Now you can, if you wanted to, you can make these hinges one continuously long hinge, but I'm not bothered by seams, so I didn't want to do that. Just one more step. So these ones, I am going to butt them right up against each other to make it look like a faux endless strip, and we're gonna use a piece of our other hinge to make that a little bit sturdier. So just right up against it. We don't want to overlap. So you may have a little gap, which is fine. I'll show you. See how mine has like that little gap? It's fine. We're going to fix it. So right up to that score line. Get it in there. Manipulate this box around. Now you can take any shape you want and manipulate it into a box. Pop that piece down, and I'm not going to heavily set this down because I know I need to cut this piece right here to come right up against my other piece. Here's my super sophisticated way. Just turn my scissors vertically and I just go for it. Don't be scared. Do not be scared because we can always cover it up. And come in. Okay. And see how it has that little gap again? I am not worried about it because I'm about to show you how I'm going to cover it right on up. Okay. So at this point, I have a bubble on the bottom, which is fine. So all I'm doing is picking this up. And I don't care if the bottom rips because we're covering it up. And we're just going to take that bubble right out. Okay. So I know you're wondering, like, what do we do with this seam? What we're going to do is go ahead and take a piece of our other hinge, and we're going to cut the two pieces to match that. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just cover this back up because you can always use this for another project, or you can just cut the hinge off and use this piece in your card making. Never throw it away. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and just measure this. When I say measure, we're just eyeballing it, and I'm just going to cut it off where I think it matches. It's the 1.5 inches. You can get out your paper trimmer and measure 1.5 inches, or just scissor it. It doesn't matter. For me, it's easier to take off both pieces of the Scor-Tape. Make sure you don't have any overhang. And what we're going to do is just make sure that this hinge goes in the crease of your hinge. This gap is going to go in the crease of your hinge. So you want your score line to be exactly on that. Not exactly, but close enough. Okay. So I'm just going to do one side first. making sure that my gap lines up with my score line, and then do the same for the other one. Easy peasy, right? So whenever you use like a pattern paper, it's easy to have like a crazy pattern so that way you can't see the seam. If you use a light cardstock, you may want to you know, cover it up with something else. I don't know. I'm not bothered by seams, but I know some people are. If you're not too comfortable doing this the way I just did it, you can peel one side and then stick it on and then peel the other side. But for me, that's overthinking. So we're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to line that gap up. And this one has a bigger gap. See? It's okay. I'm just going to line it up the best I can. Apply it. And roll with it. Because guess what? Nobody but you is going to know that that's like that. No one's going to be bothered by that. So I'm just trimming off the excess since I didn't perfectly measure it. And I used my good scissors. That's okay. We'll be right back. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and try to make this more of the coffin shape. So you're just going to pinch it. See how I'm just manipulating this cardstock to take it from that round to a more rectangular shape. And I'm just pinching with my right hand the sides of the box and just pushing with my left. That's it. You can use your bone folder if you want. Just kind of get that angle. Same thing here. That's why I like my seams on these little side points, because it's easier to manipulate a seam than it is anything else. So I need to manipulate this up here, give this more of a coffin shape than a potato shape. That's all I'm doing. That's it. See how simple that was? Okay, so that's the bottom. That's all I did for that. Okay. And you can now put your bottom piece on if you want, just to kind of hide that. And this also will help you with the manipulating the box. If you want to do that, you can. I'm just going to glue mine down. It's going to be a little off because obviously we manipulated the box around it. Just making sure I get good coverage, just scrabbling on here. You only need a little tiny bit of the glue. Oops. Okay. I'm just going to stick that on there. So it covers up those hinge lines. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and see how you can kind of see my paper, because it's a little bit more rounded than it is square. I'm just going to go ahead and trim it and make it match. That's all. Don't make it complicated. See? Beautiful. Now, if you didn't wait for the video and you went ahead and glued your bottom before you did your hinge, it's okay. I mean, that's what I did on this one, and it still looks okay. It's the bottom. Who cares? Right? Okay, 35 minutes. We're going to go ahead and stop here, and then I will come back with the top. Actually, no, let's just get the bottom done, and then we'll do the top. So I think I'm going to, for this one, I put the other side of the paper down. I put the polka dots, but I don't necessarily like that, so I'm going to go ahead and use the bats again to go around the bottom. So I'm just going to cut 2 more strips at 1.5. So Actually, no, I'm going to do them at 1 1/4 because I want the black to show on the bottom. So I'm doing 1 1/4 and another one at 1 1/4. And again, I'm not being bothered by this piece that I use. We'll use it. Okay. So again, you can use wet glue or your Scor-Tape. If you don't have that much Scor-Tape, I would suggest using your wet glue. Or if you're not comfortable with Scor-Tape, use your wet glue. I am comfortable with Scor-Tape, so I'm going to go ahead and use Scor-Tape. I'm just going to do the top and the bottom here. And the same on this one. No, I'm not giving it coverage down the middle because I feel like Scor-Tape on top and bottom will be fine. I'm using the 3/8 of an inch. You can use the 1/4 if you want. If you use the 1/4 inch, I would suggest using the glitter glue in the middle of it. I'm gonna go ahead and varnish these. Okay, let's go ahead and varnish these like so. You can use your, here is a trick that I learned with Scor-Tape. So you can just go ahead and peel off your Scor-Tape, and if you use your run-of-the-mill Elmer's glue stick, it gives you an extra minute wiggle room, and then it will give you the glue down the middle. So I'm just gonna use it here, just kind of give it a go. You can see this is the one that it goes on purple, it dries clear. I probably had this since I was in elementary school, who knows? Okay, probably not that old, but since Corey was in elementary school and now he's a junior. Okay, so that's that, and we're gonna go ahead and start. I'm gonna start here with my seam, and we're just gonna start at the top of the box, line it up with the top, and just go around. Pull it tight as you're going and mash it with your thumb with your other hand. Don't make it complicated, don't overthink it, because you can always trim it. No one's going to have a ruler to see if it's exactly, you know, that 1/4 of an inch black on the bottom. So just don't overthink it, guys. Okay, that's that strip. So I'm just going to go through and make sure it is laid down. And then my second strip, same thing. You got to make sure that it's really varnished. Well, you need that adherence. So how you can tell if it went down is that when you go to pick your backing off, only the backing comes up. So if you pick it with your nail or your picky tool thing, if any part of that stickiness comes off the paper, you need to lay your backing back on and varnish it again, because that means it's not adhering fully to the paper. All right, glue stick it up. Normally I have a piece of paper under this when I'm doing it, but I guess I'm living on the dark side today. Okay. Any overhang, go ahead and push them up because we don't want that extra Scor-Tape. And we are just going, oh, and I did them upside down, but that's okay. Bats go upside down. So for this one, I'm just going to overlap it just slightly. You don't have to. Maybe I won't. Nope. I cut these perfectly, because sometimes I don't cut them right. So one may be, you know, 1/8 of an inch shorter than the other. But this one worked out perfectly, so you can put that there. And we're going to go through and, oh, I guess I didn't need the full strip. So don't do what I did and just do the whole strip. Sorry. I mean, you can continue to go around, but I'm not going to. And because we have that glue stick on there, we actually, and I did overlap this one because I wasn't going to sit there and try to cut exact on there. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and put my backings back on because we can actually use this little piece on the top. That's why I leave my backings. I just throw them on my desk. That glue stick will dry. In the middle, it doesn't matter. I'll put that to the side. So bottom box is done. I'm going to go ahead and stop the video here, and then we'll come back and do top box.